What's going on, my exotic family? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm bringing you 5 reasons basically why reptiles are not for everybody. Stay tuned. Alright everybody, welcome back to the video. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it with reason number 1. Reason number 1 is food. So obviously, you guys that have snakes, lizards, whatever, a lot of these guys are going to eat rodents, which is enough to make some people not want to get into reptiles. Unfortunately, there is no alternative. I know some people do reptilinks, however, I think rodents is still the best way. So rodents is enough to make people not want to get into reptiles, whether you're feeding frozen, live, pre-killed, whatever the case may be. In addition to that, people are creeped out by, crickets and worms as well. So, Chinese water dragons, bearded dragons, things of that nature. They will eat those guys, and it is just not for everybody. So if you're weirded out by that, if you are not the type of person that can stand having a freezer full of frozen rodents or a can of worms in your house, then it is not for you. Reason number 2 is going to be intimidation. And what I mean by that is we all know reptiles aren't always in the best of moods. Even your friendliest reptiles, sometimes they have days or times or moments where they just truly do not want to be bothered, and that can be intimidating to some people. So if you're dealing with a snake that is just ate, or a snake that may have mites or anything like that, they can get very defensive, and you just never know what the case may be. That is also enough to drive people away. I've seen plenty of people who have reptiles. They get a reptile, the reptile does not act how they expected, so they get rid of the reptile, and that's something I hate to see, but it just kind of goes to show you that not everybody is meant to have a reptile. Unfortunately, these animals do, that's what comes with these animals. So you either are used to it or you're not. But like I said, but it's not to scare anybody away. If you're not bothered by being struck at or being hissed at, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing, get your reptile, do whatever. But for those that are bothered by that, if a snake struck at you, or if it hisses at you or anything like that, it is not for you. Unfortunately, that is something that just comes with the territory. These are snakes we're dealing with, especially my people that have the 3 foot, 4 foot, 6 footers. It definitely is possible. So that's something we should take into consideration when we are getting these animals. 3 and 4, I'm going to kind of mesh together, and it's going to be space and size. I'll cover space. As you can see, some of my cages behind me are pretty big. The one on the floor here is about 5 foot. That's what I have my big boa luther in. Not everybody has the space to house enclosures that big, and obviously if you don't have the space to house an enclosure that big, that means you do not have the space to house the snakes that big. So in addition to that, these snakes, not all snakes are going to stay small. So we also just have to keep in mind that when we're getting these snakes and reptiles in general, your monitors, there's monitors out there that get pretty large. These creatures do grow. No matter what, they're going to grow. So we just need to make sure that you are able to support these animals. You are able to give them that maximum enclosure at full size. They don't stay small. The more you feed them, the more you clean their cages, the more we're giving them the proper husbandry. Under the good conditions, these animals will grow and they will thrive, which is what we want. However, if you're not prepared for that, then keeping reptiles may not be for you. Number four is time. It's something very simple, and this kind of, everything on this well, I'll say this particular one is gonna to me apply to any pet, no matter what. If you don't have the time, don't get the animal. There's no point in getting an animal that you're not going to be able to put the time into, or have the time to take care of. If you're never home, why get an animal and just leave it stuck in a confined enclosure all day? No, these animals aren't social creatures. However, handling is a very important part of keeping reptiles in a reptile hobby. Unless you're breeding, it may be a little different. But for me, I think it's something that's very important, something that we should definitely take serious and keep in mind when keeping these reptiles. And like I said, it's not just for reptiles; it's for all animals. You're not going to get a dog and not come home for 2 days and just leave it in the cage. So I don't, you can't do that with reptiles either. I mean, obviously, you want your reptile in the cage at all times unless you're handling it. My point is, you have to interact with the animal if you want the animal to be a tame being, but you also have to be there and have the time to clean up after it and feed it. And I just feel like that's common sense. So number 5, which is the last one on the list on why reptiles are not for everyone. It's plain and simple. People are going to think you're crazy, flat out bonkers. I got 10 snakes, 3 lizards, tarantula, scorpion. Half my family doesn't come to my house. So it's just one of those things where they don't necessarily understand the animals like you do, which is fine. It's not meant for everyone. That's the whole purpose of this video. But it just kind of goes without saying, not everyone is educated on it. Everyone is into something different. But definitely if you're having a conversation with someone and you tell them, oh, I got some snakes at home, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Something that happens often, and I'm kind of used to it now, to be honest. If I don't get that reaction, it throws me off because I'm so used to getting it. But that is something that more than likely will never change. There's some people, that, here you have reptiles and they're super excited about it. But that's that's rarer than, someone not saying something crazy or calling you crazy or calling you whatever the case may be. Bottom line is people are going to look at you like you're crazy because you have these animals. With that being said, those are the top 5 reasons that I have why reptiles aren't for everyone. These are just reasons that I picked out. I'm not saying it's all reasons, so I don't need the keyboard warriors hopping on my video, but whatever. Do what you do. With that being said, if you like this video, make sure you drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'll be dropping more content, and just make sure you guys, as always, stay exotic.